The other thing about facilities that I see, and this is, you've got to learn how to approach somebody with Alzheimer's the right way. And one of the saddest things you see, I hear it all the time, the family members are like, my son won't come visit his father because he can't stand seeing him the way he is. Well, some of the truth of the matter is maybe he doesn't know how to come in and see him. All right? When you come in and you walk in a room and you approach somebody with Alzheimer's or dementia, whatever, don't run in there and say, hey, how you doing? Let them acknowledge you first. Let them visually see you and go up to them. And then, even if you're their wife, husband, introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Gary. I'm your son. My name's Holly Beth. I'm your daughter. Right? You don't say, hey, remember me, because now you're extending everything in emotion. All right? And if they're in a chair, well, just don't tower over them. Right? Nobody likes to be like that. I mean, so there's little things like that you got to think about. And these facilities, I'm not saying here, but I mean, these facilities, I've been in these places. I've watched CNAs come right up, the person that's sitting in the hallway in the wheelchair, they come right behind them and start pushing them. Don't even say a word. Now you can see the face of the other person. They're like, what's going on here? Go around the front of them, say, introduce yourself, say, I'm taking you to your room. All right? And questions, you don't want to start off with a question. That's one of the reasons, large, crowded places, restaurants, are very frustrating. You go to a restaurant, what are the first thing they ask? Table or booth? Water or tea? I mean, it's nothing but a load of questions coming right at them right off the bat. That's why they don't handle these places well. Plus, crowds are something that you really want to stay away from when they're dealing with it. But there's certain ways to approach these people, and you really got to concentrate on that and learn how to do it correctly to make good for both of you. Then maybe you can enjoy your stay. If you get them right out, all confused right off the very minute you walk in, the whole visit's not going to go well. So if the family can learn things like this and how to actually approach these people, maybe everything will go well on it. The hardest facet that I dealt with the whole time I took care of my dad was the hallucinations. It took everything I had not to pull what little hair I had out of my head on this. And this started just towards the later end of the disease on it. But this was, one day my dad started at 9 in the morning. He goes, somebody's at the building next door and they're stealing all the tools. Right? Well, you can't see that building from my house. Right? It's in the field over here like this, and it didn't stop. I mean, it didn't stop. 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it didn't stop on this. I took him over there 5 times through the field with his walker. I said, look, there's nobody here. There's nothing here. He goes, of course there's nothing here. They already stole everything. He goes, I stay here. You call 911. I'm like, I called up my sister. I only used my sister when I had to. She was an LPN, right? Nurse. She'd come there to see my dad. She'd cry. She's very fragile. I go, you deal with these people all the time. I go, it's not the same. This is my family. This is our dad, So I only called her when I needed her. But that day, I said, I don't care what you're doing. Get over here. I mean, and the thing about the hallucinations, I mean, you can't turn them around. They can last for days. And there's not been a doctor out there that's been able to answer this question for me. I go, how can something that just happened is gone, and this hallucination that's not even real, just as more real than the ground they're standing on, I'm talking a week sometimes. I mean, the same thing stays in their head. And it's tough on that. One time I put my dad down, laid him down in bed. He comes walking out within 5 minutes, white like this. I said, what's wrong? He goes, I can't lay down in there. I go, why not? He goes, there's a big dog on my bed. We don't even have a dog. That day, I changed all the sheeting. It was getting cold. I put a big brown comforter on the bed instead of the green one. Routine. I broke the routine. Little things, and the next thing I know, it turned into a nightmare. All right, so little things. But I'm saying one thing about the hallucinations. You need to talk to the doctor about this. And the other thing, there's a difference between delusions and hallucinations, and the caregiver needs to know the difference between the two. All right, a delusion is very common with all things. Everybody's stealing everything, Not that they see somebody stealing them, but they think that everybody's stealing them, they're hiding everything. They're delusional. Hallucinations is when they actually see somebody walking out of the house with their stuff, and they're going to go chase after them. There's 2 different things on it, but you need to talk to the doctor about meds at this point. My suggestion, anyway, at least talk to them about it, because if they're in a state of fear, if the illusions are bad, this is bad. So keep this in mind as you go through all this on it. You're going to see when their sleep patterns. When you start noticing they're not sleeping all through the night anymore, and they're getting their days and nights mixed up, pretty good sign that they're moving to another stage or advancing in the disease. There's a problem with this, because if they're not sleeping, you're not sleeping. All right? So when it comes down to routine, I'm not going to tell you to have a grown-up or bedtime, but yeah, you should. All right? As a caregiver, I used to get up at 6 in the morning. I'd go check on my dad first thing, right? And I'd say, if he's sleeping, then I'd go back, and that's when I did most of my writing. You had make a pot of coffee, I'm doing my running, keep going, checking on him like this. But I wouldn't let him sleep past 8:30. If you let him sleep to 11 or 12, you're going to pay for that. All right? So try to don't let him sleep. I know, and then as a caregiver, the morning, this is the best time of my day, But you're not going to have a good part of the day. You're not going to have a good night. Take your pick almost on deal. So try to keep them in a routine and the same pattern on it. I'm going to tell you, after my dad passed, all right, it took me 11 months before I slept through a whole night. And I didn't even think of this. I'm so used to sleeping with one eye and one ear open and going through this and always checking on dealing with it. And one night I woke with the bed, I got up, and it was the next morning. I said, oh my God. I look back, it was been 11 months. And the body's amazing what it learns to do when it has to. But I mean, but that's how stressful it is on this. Like, you got to keep on dealing. Anyway, sleep pattern's very important. Dad, bedtime. I'm sorry. Do what you got to do on it. Their circadian cycle, all right? In the morning, if they don't want to get up, turn the light. If the windows, open the windows. If it's not hitting the sun's coming through the windows, turn the lights on in the room. That'll kickstart them a little bit. Get through it on it. But you really want to keep them in a pattern. That's routine as far as their sleep time goes too. Who's had to pull the driver's license? Worst job there is, just about, right? I did it the hard way. I told my dad that the doctor called up the state, and the state took away your license. I never thought he would remember for a year and a half what that doctor did. That damn doctor, it went on and on. I'm like, Jesus, Now you can go into myflorida.com. They got a medical reporting form, right? You stay anonymous. You fill out the form. You say the person has dementia. You're worried about them driving. In 10 days, I heard it's more like 30, but it's supposed to be within 10. They get a appointment for an on-road driving test. They have to take it. They don't take it, the license is suspended and deal like this. 99%, they're not going to pass this test. Even if they're the best drivers in the world, they're going to all tell you they are, but they don't know. But you can do this now without even your name being involved. So somebody else must have reported you going down the road or whatever. You can stay out of it, make peace in the family. But the thing about it, when you go and you talk to them, they're like, oh, he's pretty good today. I think he can drive today. If he can't drive one day, he can't drive another day. I was speaking over on the other side of the state of Melbourne, and one guy said to me, he goes, well, I want to ask you. He goes, she's a pretty good driver, but I'm just worried about the reflexes. I'm like, reflexes? You mean like the pedal, start, go? I'm like, that's everything. Oh, there's the turn, And I said to the guy, I go, just you asking the question, I think you already know the answer, But the main thing's easier. It's not in every state. Florida has it. I was just in Pennsylvania a while back ago. They don't have it up there, but Florida does. You can fill out that report, your name's out of it. Pretty good place to do it. I'm going to tell you this. When you do take their license, they got 101 places to go every day. It's like you didn't want to go anywhere for 4 days, and all of a sudden you go, oh no, I got to do this and that. They're going to make you pay for it one way or the other. But just expect it to be coming on that. Traveling, that's another question I get all the time. I was like, I want to take my loved one on a cruise. We're running out of time. I'm like, only in the early stages. I learned this the hard way. I took my dad to Canada for 12 days. Right? His family's he's the oldest. All the family's old. Nobody could travel. So I wanted him to go see his family like this. Longest 12 days in my life. Second night there, 3 a.m, he walked up, literally picked me up with the collar of my t-shirt and lifted me up. I didn't think he had it in him. Scared out of his mind, had no idea what room we were in, everything like this. There wasn't one bathroom that he couldn't find his way out of. The whole trip, and then when you get there, with all the relatives we got, come to my house, have lunch. It was like, you can't do this to these people. You want to put them on a ship, they get lost in their own house, you're going to put them on a boat for 4 or 5 days? You're going to ruin everybody's trip. So you really got to think about this. There's times when you get funerals and family events, you got to take them. I understand that. But sometimes keeping them in the safety of their own home is better than, because I'm going to tell you another thing. You get them home, it could be 2 weeks if they ever get back to normal after the trip. So, routine, once again, you just took them out of the security, everything, their routine of their environment. So, just think about it. That trip was I really realized at that stage how bad my dad really was. I was with him 24/7. I still didn't see how advanced he might have been. And that probably advanced him even further, just the shock of that. I might have lost 6 months out of him by doing that. So. Holidays, right? Thanksgiving just by, you got Christmas coming by. And we're like, oh, we could be the last Christmas. We want to spend all this time together. You know, they bring the family in. Well, you know what? You got 15 people in the house or whatever you got. You got all these voices speaking at once. You got blinking lights on your tree. You got decorations all over the house. How do you think they're going to respond to this? You know, so you really got to consider all this together. Talk to the family. Say, why don't you guys come between 1 and 11 and 10 or 10 and 11, whatever. Break up, make a schedule. So everybody's not there. Give everybody a little shot at it. If you know Sundowners is coming, stop the day before the Sundowners is there. I mean, I'm not saying not celebrate the holidays, but you got to consider everything that's happening at the same time. So, I mean, it's, and like I said, I could remove one piece of, you move a piece of furniture to put a tree up. My dad, you couldn't convince me he was in the same house. So, I mean, it's little changes like that. You know, once again, we're back to the routine on this, but, I mean, so. Yeah. Learn, right? Trial and error on this. I mean, so.